Welcome, dear students, in this new video. And in this video, we will discuss the explanation of the chapter Strong Roots. As I have told you, this is an autobiography, and the whole chapter has been written in the first person. So the Kalam starts, this is the very first chapter of his autobiography, Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. And he starts by saying that he was born in a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameswaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Boys, we know that nowadays, the state is known by the name of Tamil Nadu. But previously, erstwhile means previously, formerly, it was known as Madras. Then he talks about his father, Jainul Abdin, and he says that his father, Jainul Abdin, had neither much formal education. Formal education means he hadn't received any degree from the university, and he had not much wealth. So he wants to say that his father was neither very much educated nor he was a wealthy person. Yet he possessed great innate wisdom and true generosity of spirit. Here Kalam underlines the fact that his father had the disadvantages of being not much educated, but he says that his father had great innate means inborn, natural. He was a man of inborn wisdom, and he had a true generosity of spirit. Here you have to understand that he was generous by nature, helpful by nature, and he was a man of wisdom. Then Kalam says, his father had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Asiyamma. So here, the boys, you have the information that his father's name was Jainul Abdin and his mother's name was Asiyamma. Then Kalam says that in his house, every day, a large number of people were fed by his mother. So this line means that I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day. His mother fed every day, but I am quite certain, Kalam says, he is quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. The simple meaning is this: a large number of people every day were fed in his house by his mother in comparison to the members of the family, the members of his family. In the second paragraph, he talks about his parents. My parents were widely regarded as an ideal couple. And now he points out a fact about his mother. My mother's lineage means progeny, descent, ancestry. So his mother's lineage was the more distinguished. Generally it is compared whose lineage is more distinguished, his father's or his mother's. And here Kalam says that his mother's ancestry was more distinguished, was more prestigious. Why? Because one of his mother's forefathers were bestowed the title of Bahadur by the British government, as one of the forefathers of his mother's ancestors were given away the title of Bahadur by the British government, so his mother's lineage was more distinguished. Then in the third paragraph, Kalam says that he was one of many children. mainly children. And he tells us about himself. He was a short boy, short, and he had undistinguished looks. Simple meaning is that he was not a handsome boy, he was short, and surprisingly, he was born to tall and handsome parents. Then Kalam talks about his house, his ancestral house, the house made by his ancestors. It was built in the middle of the 19th century. Middle of the 19th century means his house was built in 1850s. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick. And his house was situated in the Mosque Street in Rameswaram. Then he talks about the nature of his father. My austere father. Here the boy, austere. The word is austere. Austere means it is rather opposite to extravagant. Extravagant means one who spends too much. And austere means one who is very strict in spending money. So his father was austere. Austere in this sense that he used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. It means that his father did not spend money on unnecessary comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothing. All the essential things, all the necessary items were provided by his father, but he didn't spend money on unessential comforts and luxuries. And a very important fact about Kalam, and he utters a very important fact that his childhood, he talks about his childhood. Kalam says that, or we should say, APJ Abdul Kalam sums up his childhood in Rameswaram as a very secure materially and emotionally. I have told you in the introduction that he was properly supported, emotionally supported by his parents, and he was provided with all the essential things. So his childhood was secure, both materially and emotionally. Then a very small point. I normally ate with my mother sitting on the floor of the kitchen. Naturally, he was very close to his mother and he ate with his mother sitting on the floor of the kitchen. She would place a banana leaf before me. Banana leaf, you can remember the tradition of South India. Place a banana leaf and then ladled rice and aromatic sambar. Aromatic sambar, a variety of sharp homemade pickle and a dollop of fresh coconut chutney. These are the simple facts. Then APJ Abdul Kalam talks about his locality. You know, boys, that Rameswaram is famous for the Shiv temple. So he says the Shiv temple, which made Rameswaram so famous to pilgrims Tirthyatri, was about 10-minute walk from our house. The famous Rameswaram temple was 10 minutes walking distance from his house. And he says our locality was predominantly Muslim, but there were quite a lot of Hindu families too, living amicably. Amicably means in a friendly manner with their Muslim neighbors. So here he says that Kalam describes his neighborhood, a predominantly Muslim locality close to the famous Shiv temple, where Hindu families lived amicably or in a friendly manner with their Muslim neighbors. And now he points out a very important fact, and we must say that this is the beginning of Kalam's journey as a spiritual person. How the seeds of spirituality were sown in his very childhood. Kalam says that he would go to a very old mosque in his locality with his father every evening. He went to the mosque for evening prayers. It may be said here, namaz, for namaz reading. And he says, I had not the faintest idea, the slightest idea of the meaning of the Arabic prayers chanted. When the Muslims read namaz, they actually chant Arabic prayers. It is called ayte, Quran ki ayte. They chant Arabic prayers, and we know it is quite obvious that even we do not know the meaning of every word when we utter some prayer in Sanskrit. Similar was the fact with Kalam. When he chanted Arabic prayers, he had not the slightest idea of the words he uttered. But he was completely convinced, he was totally convinced that they reached God. Dear students, this is the faith. Faith to the God. Whenever Kalam prayed evening prayers, he was totally convinced that his prayers reached God. And a very significant fact about his father. When his father came out of the mosque after the prayers, people of different religions would be sitting outside waiting for him. Kalam's father finished his evening prayers. He came out of the mosque, and people of different religions, not only Muslims, but even Hindus and the people of other religions would be waiting outside the mosque. And why? Why were they waiting? Many of them offered bowls of water to my father. The people had bowls of water in their hands, and they put the bowls before his father, and his father would dip his fingertips. His father would dip his fingertips in the bowls of water and say a prayer, utter a prayer. He murmur a prayer. This water was then carried home for invalids. Invalids, those who were ably different people. Their hands or legs might not be working properly. So this water was then carried home for such invalid people. And Kalam also underlines the fact that he remembers people visiting our home to offer thanks after being cured. This is very strange fact, my dear students. It may be superstitious, but this is a fact according to Kalam. People of different religions had the bowls of water in their hands. Kalam's father would dip his fingertips in the bowls in the water, and then this water was carried home for the people who suffered from any kinds of problems in their parts of body, and they also got cured. According to Kalam, such people also got cured. And when the people thanked Kalam's father, he always smiled and asked them to thank Allah, the Merciful. He didn't receive the gratitude from the people, but he told the people to thank Allah, the Merciful. So this is one of the qualities, this is one of the spiritual qualities mentioned here by Kalam about his father. Now, in the next paragraph, another fact the high priest of Rameswaram temple. I have told you about Rameswaram temple, and Rameswaram temple had high priest, Mukhya Pujari, and his name was Pakshi Lakshman Sastri, was a very close friend of my father's. This is one of another aspects of Kalam's father's spiritual qualities. The high priest of Rameswaram temple, Pakshi Lakshman Sastri, was a very close friend of Kalam's father. And one of the most clear memories, vivid means clear memories, of his early childhood is of the two men, each in traditional attire. Attire means dress. Each in traditional attire. It means that Pakshi Lakshman Sastri put on his own kind of Hindu attire, Hindu dress, maybe saffron dress, and Kalam's father was in the attire of Maulvi, something like this. And they discussed spiritual matters. Both of them discussed spiritual matters. This is the clear memory of Kalam. And now, boys, be prepared. Some of the serious points are to come. When I was old enough to ask questions, when Kalam grew up, and when he developed some senses about the prayer, about these spiritual things, he asked his father about the relevance of prayer. Relevance of prayer. Clear thing it is. Why do we pray? What is the importance of prayer? What is the meaning of prayer? And more importantly, why do we pray? Then Kalam says, my father told me there was nothing mysterious about prayer. According to Kalam's father, there is nothing mysterious about prayer. Prayer has no mystery at all. Prayer has no hidden fact about all. And according to Kalam's father, prayer made possible a communion. Communion means a special relationship with someone, of the spirit between people. When the people pray together, their spirits combine. This is the importance of prayer. Prayer made possible a communion of the spirit. I have already told you, a special relationship with someone which makes you feel that you understand them very well. So this is the meaning of communion. And he further said, when you pray, when a person prays, he transcends his body. He transcends. Transcend means go beyond. He goes beyond his body and becomes a part of the cosmos. Cosmos means universe. It means that when someone prays, he goes beyond his body. अपने शरीर से परे, goes beyond his body, and his body becomes, or he, the person, becomes a part of the cosmos. He forgets his individuality, he forgets his existence, and he becomes a part of the cosmos, which knows, the cosmos, the universe, knows no division of wealth, age, caste or creed. This is the relevance of prayer. Prayer makes no distinction. And when the people pray together, they go beyond their body and they become a part of the cosmos. This is the relevance of prayer according to Kalam's father. So, my dear students, we conclude here the first part of the explanation of the chapter Strong Roots, and this is to be continued in the next video. Thank you.